In his last years, William James, the father of modern psychology, was dying from heart disease. He could barely walk, but he refused to stop. He traveled to Scotland, weak and exhausted, to deliver the Gifford Lectures, a series that became one of the greatest books on religion ever written. He said, "Religion is not about doctrine. It's about the feeling that something bigger than you is real." Tonight, in Part 26, Chapter 6 begins his final lectures on religious experience, how he studied mystical moments, conversions, and faith, and the one idea that made religion make sense to scientists and believers alike. Stay until the end, because his last words in those lectures will give you chills. William James's final years, his lectures on the philosophy of religion, and his lasting legacy. As William James entered the final years of his life, he had already become one of the most respected thinkers in both psychology and philosophy. His earlier work had transformed the study of the mind, influenced religious thought, and shaped modern ideas about habit, belief, and consciousness. Yet his later years were not a period of slowing down. Instead, they were marked by remarkable intellectual activity, deep reflection, continued teaching, and some of the most influential lectures he ever delivered. Page 1 of Chapter 6 introduces his final period, time defined by health struggles, major philosophical achievements, and lasting contributions that would shape generations after him. By the early 1900s, James's health had begun to decline. He had suffered for many years from heart problems, fatigue, and recurring episodes of exhaustion. Despite this, his intellectual energy remained strong, even as his body weakened. His curiosity and commitment to understanding human experience grew even sharper. Illness forced him to limit long travel and heavy teaching schedules, but he continued to write, lecture, and think deeply. In many ways, his physical limitations created the conditions for deeper introspection. They pushed him to refine his ideas about the meaning of life, the role of belief, and the purpose of human effort in a world full of uncertainty. One of the most significant achievements of his later years was the development of his philosophy of religion, especially the ideas he explored in his celebrated lectures. These lectures, many later collected in two books, focused on the nature of religious experience, the meaning of faith, and the practical value of belief in shaping human life. James did not approach religion as a theologian or as a defender of any specific doctrine. Instead, he approached it as a psychologist and philosopher, studying how religious feelings arise, how spiritual experiences transform people, and why belief can have powerful practical effects. At the heart of James's philosophy of religion was the idea that religious experience is primarily individual. He believed that the deepest spiritual truths are often found in personal moments of insight, peace, struggle, or transformation. These experiences, he argued, are often more meaningful than formal religious institutions or doctrines. By paying close attention to personal stories of religious awakening, mystical experience, or interior struggle, he sought to understand how such experiences influence character, behavior, and ethical choices. James believed that these experiences reveal important truths about the human mind and the moral possibilities of life. During this period, he also worked on his broader philosophical ideas, especially his defense of pragmatism. His lectures on pragmatism became extremely influential, introducing the idea that the meaning of a belief lies in its practical consequences. For James, religious beliefs, moral values, and philosophical ideas are not important merely because they are logically consistent. They matter because they help people live better, make decisions, and find direction. This idea allowed him to bridge the gap between science and faith, between reason and emotion, and between abstract thought and daily life. Even as his health worsened, James continued to lecture when possible. His trips to give major lecture series took a great physical toll, but he believed strongly in sharing his ideas with the public. One of the most important sets of lectures he delivered during this time were the Gifford lectures in Scotland, which became the foundation for his famous work, The Varieties of Religious Experience. These lectures examined religious experiences from psychological, philosophical, and practical perspectives. They were widely praised for their fairness, depth, and respect for the diversity of human experience. Many scholars consider them the greatest work of his career. James's final years were also a time of intense writing. He worked on essays, lectures, letters, and reflections that expressed his mature worldview. His thought became increasingly focused on the value of effort, the importance of choice, and the reality of human freedom. He believed that people shape their lives through their actions, that character is built through habit, and that belief plays a powerful role in guiding personal growth. His later writings show a man who remained deeply engaged with the world, even as his health limited him. Despite his struggles, James maintained strong relationships with students, colleagues, and family. He was known for his kindness, humility, and openness. He encouraged students to think independently and to develop their own ideas. His final years demonstrated his commitment not only to philosophy and psychology but also to teaching and mentorship. Many of his students went on to become influential thinkers in their own right, spreading his ideas throughout the academic world. As his life drew to a close, James reflected often on mortality, meaning, and the value of human effort. He believed that life was uncertain, incomplete, and full of struggle, but also rich with possibility. His philosophy emphasized courage, openness, and the willingness to act despite uncertainty. In this way, his final years embodied the principles he had spent his life teaching: the importance of effort, the power of belief, and the practical value of living with purpose. Chapter 6 introduces the final phase of William James's life years, marked by declining health but extraordinary intellectual activity. His lectures on religion, his continued development of pragmatism, and his lasting influence on psychology and philosophy show the depth and richness of his mature thought. His final years were not a period of retreat but a time in which he created some of his most enduring work, revealing a thinker who remained deeply engaged with the most important questions of human life. The last phase of William James's work and his continued exploration of religious experience. As William James moved deeper into the final phase of his life, the themes of religion, belief, and practical philosophy became even more central to his work. Although his health continued to decline, his writings grew richer, clearer, and more focused. Chapter 6 explores how James refined his ideas on religious experience, addressed critics, and expanded his influence through new essays and lectures that shaped the modern understanding of spirituality and philosophical thought. James had always been interested in the relationship between personal experience and larger truths. In his earlier years, this interest led him to study emotion, habit, and consciousness. But in his later years, he turned more decisively toward understanding the inner life, the private experiences, struggles, and revelations that shape a person's identity. He believed that religion was one of the most powerful expressions of this inner life, helping people find meaning, strength, and direction. One of his most important contributions during this period was his insistence that religious experience should not be judged by institutional or doctrinal standards. Instead, James argued that the value of a religious experience lies in its effects, how it influences a person's actions, character, and ability to face the challenges of life. This view aligned with his broader philosophy of pragmatism, which emphasized the practical consequences of belief. By focusing on the lived experience of religion, James offered a way to study spirituality without becoming entangled in debates about theology or dogma. In his essays and lectures, James examined many kinds of religious experiences, including mystical visions, moments of deep peace, sudden conversions, and profound feelings of connection with something greater than oneself. He collected stories from a wide variety of people, poets, mystics, ordinary individuals, and those who had struggled with despair before experiencing a spiritual awakening. These stories revealed a rich diversity of religious life, showing that spirituality is not a single, uniform phenomenon but a broad range of experiences that share a common emotional intensity and transformative power. James believed that the study of religious experience could help people understand not only spirituality but also the deeper workings of the human mind. Religious experiences often arise during moments of emotional intensity, moral conflict, or personal crisis. They can reveal hidden strengths, inspire new habits, and encourage moral transformation. For James, these moments are important psychological phenomena that help explain how people grow, change, and find meaning. While James was admired for his insights, he also faced criticism from some philosophers and theologians. Some argued that his focus on individual experience ignored the importance of religious tradition, community, and shared belief. Others worried that his pragmatic approach made religion seem too subjective, reducing spiritual truth to mere personal preference. James responded to these criticisms with patience and clarity. He explained that his goal was not to dismiss religious traditions but to highlight the personal dimension of faith, the part that begins inside the individual before it is shaped by community or doctrine. He believed that personal experience is the foundation upon which all religious systems are built. During this period, James also deepened his exploration of pragmatism, especially its relationship to religion. He argued that belief in God or belief in any moral ideal can be meaningful even when it cannot be proven through science or logic. If a belief gives hope, strengthens character, or motivates ethical action, then it has practical value. This idea challenged the traditional divide between faith and reason. Instead of viewing them as opposites, James suggested that they could work together. Faith provides motivation and purpose, while reason guides action and understanding. His later writings showed a growing interest in the idea of pluralism, the belief that reality is not a single, unified system but a collection of many experiences, perspectives, and possibilities. This view shaped his approach to religion as well. He believed that no single tradition or philosophy could capture the full richness of human experience. Instead, different perspectives, religious, scientific, philosophical, each reveal part of the truth. This pluralistic outlook made James's work especially appealing to readers from diverse backgrounds, as it offered a respectful and inclusive approach to understanding belief. As his ideas spread, James gained an even wider audience. His lectures attracted students, scholars, clergy, and ordinary people interested in the meaning of life. Many found comfort in his writing, especially those struggling with doubt or uncertainty. James never claimed to have all the answers. Instead, he encouraged readers to explore their own experiences and to find meaning in their own struggles. This humility made his work both accessible and profound. Despite his declining health, James continued to write letters, essays, and notes filled with energy and insight. In his correspondence with friends and colleagues, he often discussed the challenges of illness, the meaning of work, and the importance of staying intellectually active. His letters reveal a man who refused to surrender to despair, even in the face of physical suffering. Instead, he turned his personal struggles into opportunities for reflection, drawing on them to deepen his understanding of human resilience and the will to believe. Chapter 6 shows that William James's later years were not marked by withdrawal but by remarkable creativity. His continued exploration of religious experience, his thoughtful responses to critics, and his growing interest in pluralism all contributed to a body of work that remains influential today. His ability to combine scientific observation with philosophical insight made him a unique figure, one who helped bridge the gap between psychology, religion, and everyday life. Those lectures became The Varieties of Religious Experience, the book that changed religion forever. But William James's own life was about to end. In part 27, you'll discover his final fight with illness, the heartbreaking goodbye to his family, and the one sentence on his grave that still saves lives. Part 27 tomorrow, 8 p.m. sharp. Subscribe plus bell on. The end is coming.